Hello all, I just thought I'd make a video again tonight as I'm doing something that's pretty common and a lot of radios get thrown out because of this. But I'll just summarise what radio we're working on. Obviously it's an SBE Sidebander 4. This radio came in, it's from an acquaintance, a person that I know. Hello to Paul. And this came in with some issues so what we did was went through the radio, got a list together, worked out what was happening with the radio the best that I could on first investigations, ended up recapping the whole radio, so went through and redid all of the radio, got good results. Being an SBE Sidebander, it peaked and tuned very well. This one has a clarifier, but no added frequencies, so that hasn't been touched. Yeah, so I got through to the end of this job, this little project, not job, and I was still getting dry joints on the board, and the common place for the dry joints, as I've mentioned in other videos, are generally in and around the synthesizer and the VCO, and up here around the relay, the 27 meg filters, and this area here. So went through it yesterday, about 9 hours, replaced all the caps. There's about 35 caps or something in this. Did all of that, turned it on, it was finally stable, lasted for about 10 minutes, and we got issues with the clarifier. Got issues with the receive, started dropping out. Now, I'll turn it around and show you. I've been working on this for the last probably 2 hours. One of the previous people that have worked on this had applied a lot of heat in and around the relay area trying to find dry joints. But it's a bit more complicated than just heating up the solder. You really need to remove the solder and then apply new solder, but also check what you're actually working on isn't corroded. So they applied way too much heat to this relay, and what's ended up happening, and you all know where I'm going to from here, is this one here, the pin melted and broke away from the fingers on the front there, and on the back the other pin came out totally. So it wasn't obvious at the time for me. It wasn't until I desoldered it and had my hand on the relay that the pin actually came out of the board. Alright, so fast forward to today. Bought some new relays. Pretty good deal at the moment at Rokeby's, $1.82 each. Can't knock that back, so I bought 6. Alright, so I pulled the relay out. I want to show you just about all the tracks were missing or damaged, and they had jumpers going from here to here. There was a transistor in here to try and aid in the transmit and receive. So what I've done is made up my own tracks. So you need a good magnifying glass. You need some of the things that you need for that is the foil, and the type of foil that I use has an adhesive on one side, which you don't rely on. That's just for the initial bonding. It's a 5mm wide foil, which I make the tracks out of. What we do is stick the foil down in the track area, and we use a fresh hobby knife, just one of these, and a fresh blade. It is so important that you have a very sharp and pointy blade. Because this area is relatively small, even though it's old technology or 70s technology. It is still a bit of a task to cut these to the right shape. All right, so some of the tools that are needed. Obviously you need a coffee, and these are just some of the things that I use. We start off, obviously we need to, after we've remove the solder with the solder sucker, we need to thin the solder out and take all remnants down to the surface. So I use a wick type desoldering braid. We need, again, some very fine tweezers. We need really sharp, I use surgical scissors. Also have a set of dentistry set of tools. Now this is really good when it comes to creating holes and moving things around under the magnifying glass when you need things a bit bigger than just the pointy tweezers. What else? Normal size scissors, wider tweezers, obviously a set of new blades, and to clean the board we use, as normal, IPA, toothbrush, and we make sure everything is free of any built-up flux. This area here, pre-doing this, when I first opened it up, you could actually not see any of the tracks. It all looked fine. There was so much flux residue on this. It was totally encased in it. So after I cleaned it all up, it became apparent what I was dealing with. So that's really where we're at. So how do we do this? Well, it's relatively straightforward. We would remove the copper foil like so. This puts into perspective seeing my fingers. We would put the copper foil down on the track like that. We're working through the magnifying glass. And then with your pen knife, you start cutting lightly the shape of how you want the track. And then with the tool, you would then put pressure on one side of the track with your other hand, and you'd gradually push away and pick up the part that you've cut. And that's my video for tonight. Sorry that it's nothing more exciting, but it's something that anybody can do this. Anybody can repair tracks that has been damaged or you've accidentally applied too much heat to. With this radio, it's we're talking a 1970s radio, and so it's rare to have something that somebody has not worked on, or somebody actually caused problems and not done the best possible job. So that's where we're at. The next step here is that I'm going to scrape away some of the epoxy on the surface here on all the tracks, and where there's a join on the track where I haven't done a full track, make a bridge. So I'll flow the solder across, and then I will spray with PCB material and then put the relay in once it's all dried. And that way it's all locked away. All right. Please, if there's any questions, leave leave those in the comments. No, look, you can criticise this. You can make comments that it's, there's always better ways of doing things. Yes, this is the way that I've found that it works on this size of component. There are other things in the market which I will be exploring to redo tracks. However, this works and provides a solution at this level of componentry, and it will look good when it's finished. Getting down into 1mm size tracks, which I've worked on with the same process, and where have we used that? Well, we actually did some fine track work on the TS2000, where somebody had done poorly or removed a resistor for the Mars cap mod, which I put back, but they tore up a track when they were doing it. Again, it all comes down to knowing how to use your little bits of your tools that you have and thinking through the job rather than jumping into it. All right, well, I'm Paul. Hopefully this resurrects another SBE Sidebander 4 and returns it to service. Thank you very much. Good night.